Cells contains graphic and occasionally violent content, which some listeners may find disturbing. Cells is not recommended for children. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back. I'm Cole.
And I'm Casey.
And this is our first Q&A episode where we will address as many questions as we can on the cases of Michella Welch and Jennifer Bastian. We have had a lot of responses to the podcast, from comments to questions about everything from specific case details to random information in general. They are such great questions, we felt it was important to share them with everyone and give you some answers. We love hearing from our listeners, so keep it coming. Our first question comes from Shannon from Bethel, Pennsylvania.
It blows my mind, too, that Gary Hartman's wife, who was Michella's killer, had no idea. What kind of psychologist was or is she?
So from what we can tell, she had her own private practice where her main focus was attachment disorders. A lot of it pertaining to adoption, and she herself adopted 2 children. So it looks like that's what her practice primarily focuses on.
I mentioned, I think in one of the episodes, like on a side note, that I was a psychology major at one point. And actually, oddly enough, I did my master's thesis on attachment theory. So attachment is the bonds that children form with a caregiver when they're young. I personally believe that attachment is the root of all mental illness, like poor attachments. But I also think that Gary obviously has terrible attachments. He had a terrible childhood. And if she's an expert in these things and, you know, families, even if they're adopted families, but families are families, and kids that have grown up maybe and not from the day one in a loving environment and helping them transition into a loving adoptive family and how that might look. I mean, I agree. How does she not red flag? But then on the other hand, when she met and married him, he was 10 years out from committing this crime. So he had 10 years of practice at being a quote unquote normal person. He had 10 years of putting on a mask to fool everyone around him into thinking he was something that he wasn't.
And also, even though we allude to that she had no idea.
Who knows?
Well, yeah, we can't really speak for her, but from the documents that we've come across and interviews that we've read, that's how she explains it. But, you know, she's the wife.
Right.
And he just got arrested. And I wouldn't be completely honest if I was her either. So
yeah,
doesn't necessarily mean she didn't have some kind of inkling, but that's just what she was communicating.
Right. Well, and I think in one of the things that we did read, the only thing she said, even a little bit that hinted toward anything, was that when she was asked about her daughters and if he ever did anything to her daughters, she was adamant, absolutely not, absolutely not. And she said, I watch for that stuff, you know? I always watch for that stuff. Did she watch for that stuff because that's who she is as a person, as a mother, as a psychologist? Or did she watch for that stuff because she knew there was something off about Hubs?
I think she had to have known. Deep down in your heart,
you're a psychologist!
Yeah. But either way, that's just kind of odd. So, next question. Laura from Oregon. Oregon?
Oh, we'll get to that.
Asks, you mentioned another killer, friend, that he was identified at Michella's crime scene. This seems crazy to me. Can you tell me more?
Why, yes, I can, Laura. His name was Gerald Friend, and it is probably one of the most bizarre things for me in this case. When we realized this and read this part, got to this part in the reports, we were both like, oh my gosh, like texting each other. We had to conference call it, how bonkers it was that this dude was actually there so close. It's just insane. So he's a serial rapist, basically. And he was from Lakewood, Washington. And currently he was
the one that we talked about that would hang the girls upside down in his trailer.
Yeah, he hung the one girl that got away. A little background on Friend. He was originally jailed for abducting a 12-year-old girl from Sumner, Washington in July of 1960 when he was 22. He picked her up. She was hitchhiking, picked up her and her brother, kicked the boy out of the car at gunpoint, and he then drove the girl to Mount Rainier.
There we go, butchering another name.
Mount Rainier.
We'll do it later.
Rainier. Yeah, we'll get there. National Park, where he beat her, raped her, and cut her hair. Just weirdo. She escaped by jumping into a river, and she was discovered later by a passing motorist. Several days later, Friend's father found him hiding in a field near their home. Friend drew a pistol on his dad, but his dad basically whooped his ass, and Friend ended up getting shot. Dad took him to the hospital and turned him into the police. So he's convicted of rape and torture, sentenced to 75 years at Walla Walla, only served 20, and within that 20, he escaped twice, but whatevs, they paroled him in 1980. So this happens in 1986 in March, where this sketch is drawn, and then in 1987, he abducts another girl, 14, the one that we talked about that he hung from the ceiling. So at that point, the police are like, this sketch looks a lot like this guy, and asked Mary. She picks him out of a lineup. Sure enough, it was him. Absolutely bonkers. Bonkers. Bizarre.
And the lineup was in 1987, so it's still fresh in her memory.
Yeah. Yep. So right now he's serving 2 consecutive 75-year terms, and he's at Airway Heights Corrections Center. Another fun fact, just quickly, this is kind of rando, but that 1987 kidnapping of the 14-year-old girl was the inspiration for the Nirvana song Polly that was released in 1991. Thank you, Wikipedia.
So that was the point in the previous episode that I was trying to make, was if she picked him out of a lineup and he really was there, that means that while Gary Hartman kidnapped Michella, took her into the woods, brutally raped and murdered her, that Friend was just walking around the park at the same time.
Yeah, just walking down the street.
Was he also scouting for little girls to take and rape and murder?
Probably.
Or what are the chances? And they didn't know each other. So that's why I said, like, for those of you who read Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, like, was he there? Was he part of this too? Did he watch it happen? I don't think so, because I feel like his DNA would be all over the scene as well.
Yeah, because there's no way
but I just meant, like, was he watching and like, this is how you do it? This is how, like,
giving him instructions?
What else? Because I can't wrap my head around that if he was really there, that it just was a coincidence that 2 people on the hunt were looking at the same time.
I know.
And then
But aren't people like that always looking?
Yeah, but Mary said she saw him a little bit later, which would also be the time that the police were coming to the park. So was he like, oh, cops, gotta go.
Yeah. Beat feet, I'm out.
Yes. I just know. Or was she just picking him up out of lineup and it really wasn't him? It was just somebody who looked like him? Coincidence? I don't know.
Could be. But still, either way, bizarre.
Super creepy.
Yeah. So, our next question is from Melissa from Charlotte, North Carolina. Melissa asked,
you mentioned they consulted with Ted Bundy. Was that for this case specifically or just the Green River Task Force?
This was just for the Green River Task Force. Ted Bundy was consulted because, as everyone knows, he was from Tacoma, Washington. That's where he started out, and was a self-proclaimed expert of the woods and any type of areas in nature around there. And as everybody probably knows too, or maybe not, but the Green River Killer would kill and dump the bodies in the woods or along the river or in the river itself. And so that's why they went and they consulted with Ted Bundy. But it relates to our case because the detectives on this case then consulted with the Green River Task Force. So I guess kind of.
And they've consulted with the Green River Task Force with Jenny's case because hers was in the middle of a huge park. And
it had been there. Her body had been there for quite some time. So they were experts at deciphering those kind of crime scenes. What I was going to say is, by way of consulting with the Green River Task Force, they did kind of consult with Ted Bundy, but they didn't go there themselves. Actually, a detective, Robert Keppel, he was the King County homicide detective that worked the Green River Killer cases. He consulted with Ted Bundy. And if you want to know more about that, I recommend his book. It's called The Riverman, Ted Bundy and I Hunt for the Green River Killer. It's a pretty good read and goes into a lot of good detail about the case. It's interesting.
Okay, let's take a break. Be right back.
All right, welcome back. Now let's move on to our next question. We have Andy from Colorado Springs who asks, I'm really paranoid to give my DNA away or do one of these tests. What made you do it?
I think for me, I had the same feeling, but I really just wanted to know my background. I was told my whole life that I was mostly Polish and English and Italian and equal parts of all of them. And it turns out I'm mostly English and have a little tiny Polish and a little tiny Italian and so much other things that I didn't even know about. And I think that is why I wanted to do it. But when I had the tube in front of my hands, I was like, oh, do I do it? Do I do it? I hesitated. And then I was like, yeah, screw it. Let's do it. But I had those same feelings too. God forbid another Hitler stage comes into the world and they decide to wipe people out and hack into these systems. Yeah. I had that same hesitation.
I didn't. I don't know what's wrong with me. I am like the marketer's dream. I got like caught up in the whole thing and I asked for one for Christmas. These are amazing. I want to see where I'm from, even though, I was pretty sure I knew where I was from and it was pretty accurate from what I thought it was going to be, except that I found out that I'm a good percentage of Spanish and a little bit of Arabic, which I thought was crazy, but also fantastic.
Clearly that comes from opposite sides of our family.
Yeah.
I have none of those.
But honestly, what I think about now that I've already spit and sent it away is the same things kind of about, and especially the climate of our country. We're not going to be like political, I don't think, on this podcast at all, but the climate of our country in general and the way that technology is exponentially growing, I am nervous about that too. I'm nervous about hackers. I'm nervous about who knows who. Like, what if something horrible happens and we get bombed or we get overtaken or overthrown or we hire
China.
I'm saying, or we elect someone that becomes a dictator or like a Hitler or something, and they do this, or even not even just identifying an ethnicity, but DNA is some serious stuff. You can go in and identify
health issues.
Yes. Let's create a super virus that just wipes out people with X, Y, and Z genetic markers.
But we encourage you all to do it and help law enforcement.
So here's my thing with that, though. My thing with that is, A, if you've already sent away your kit, if you've already done Ancestry or 23andMe, they have the information. So it's too late for you. And there's no reason not to help law enforcement if you've already put your DNA out there. And B, if you haven't and you're hesitant because of the things that I was just talking about, fair enough. I get that. But also, our government is at the point where if they want your DNA, they're going to get it.
Yeah, but it also doesn't matter, too, because if you didn't do one, your cousin did one.
Right.
Your uncle did one.
Yeah.
And they can map it out.
Yeah, they can find you anyway.
Yeah.
So as long as you are not a murderer or a rapist or a sexual offender, there should be no reason for you not to.
It reminds me of that meme that we posted on our Insta account where it's like, right now, there's someone's cousin out there.
There's someone trying to talk their cousin out of doing a 23andMe.
Yeah. Somewhere there's a serial killer trying to talk their cousin out of doing a 23andMe.
Yeah, that's funny.
But then you got to stop your second and third cousins because
that's where they get you.
Yep, the people you don't even know.
Yep. So just upload your profile. Just do it. Spit in the tube and mail it in. Do it. And if you've already done that, if you've already uploaded it, if you've already spit in the tube and sent it out and they've upload it to GEDmatch. If and you don't want to do that,
enable that.
Do the consent.
Give your consent.
Write those letters.
Write to 23andMe. Write to Ancestry. Ask for this feature. I want it.
I do too.
It's my DNA.
I should have the right.
I want to control it. If you're listening, 23andMe or Ancestry or any of these sites, I would also like the ability to enable and disable what kind of cases they can do it for. Like, do I want to allow just murders and rapes or burglaries or exclude burglaries?
Right.
I should have the control.
Yeah.
And I'd be happy to do it.
Yeah. I mean, the federal law prohibits them from doing the burglary one. But it might not forever. Laws change. Mm-hmm.
Violent burglaries with guns, ones without.
What if they burglarized a little old lady and beat her and she didn't die?
Well, I would enable that feature.
That's what I'm saying. They should be. And, the last thing that I want to know, if my DNA catches somebody and it goes through the process and they are convicted or whatever, like, I get you can't tell me right away. Could you give me a little, like,
thank you email?
Yeah. I'd like an email, like one of those, like, Evites that you get when you click on it and, like, the confetti pops out. It's like, congratulations.
You've solved a murder.
Yes!
Your second cousin on your dad's side.
Yes, is a piece of shit.
So watch out for any of your uncles. That gene could be passed down.
I was going to say, because some of that's genetic. Okay.
All right, where are we? Okay.
Now we're on to...
So this was a fun one. So Jackie from Syracuse, New York asks, in episode 2, you talked about the Lahar system in the Tacoma area. Does that alarm still go off today? Which makes sense. It's a good question because the alarm was for landslides and volcanoes.
Yeah, natural disaster type things.
So how do they alert them today?
There's a couple different ways. So yes, the Lahar system is still a thing. It's still in Pierce County today. They alert people several different ways. One of the ways is like a push notification. I'm thinking Amber Alerts, but I don't know are Amber Alerts a national thing? Is that like a state by state thing?
I think they alert state by state, but Amber Alert is national. Okay.
So it's kind of like a push notification when you get like that out of nowhere on your phone and it's an
Flash
Amber
flood.
Alert or flash. It's like that. So that's one of the ways. Another way is they still do the old school siren. So they just, Pierce County recently, I was looking at their website and they have some upgrade and expansion projects. They are looking to upgrade their detection technology. And part of that is a multi-year project to enhance the system and create new sites called Lahar monitoring stations with new software, solar panels, cameras, et cetera, et cetera.
So we mentioned that they would do a test and That's how the boys in Jenny's case knew that they were somewhere at a specific time because that alarm is what rang.
Yeah.
Do they do those tests today still?
Well, so in Jenny's case, they did the tests, and I can't remember if it was daily or weekly, but it was one of the two. It was very frequent because that incident had just happened so recently before the landslides and stuff like that. But with technology and everything progressing and the push notifications, that isn't necessary anymore, but they do still conduct monthly tests and they sound the siren still. They're hoping with this expansion project that they're going to be able to change the alarm to use voice warnings. So it's going to be like someone yelling at you, but they're going to also do them in different languages, integrate flashing lights to reach additional vulnerable populations, like I'm thinking deaf people, and expand the network. So they're building more alarms, like they're putting up more alarms.
Get off my yard!
I think it's wonderful for the people of this county to have it changed. I would rather be yelled at than hear this.
What would you like to be yelled at?
Run!
Earthquake!
Something.
Slide!
But at the same time,
Lava! Lava! Lava!
it's happened again. But though realistically, if they do voices, it will probably be someone calm. Please exit. Please take the nearest highway and exit the area.
Tacoma.
Yeah. So maybe they should just keep the siren. Although that siren is so annoying. That's an annoying sound.
All right, so that wraps it up for our questions. And now we have a few things to clarify as well as address some feedback. So the first thing I want to clarify is Robert Washburn. When we talk about his cellmate that disclosed some information, it wasn't the cellmate that he sleeps with every night. It was like, we said cellmate because it was just somebody, not sleeps with. You
caught my eye from across the room.
It's prison. But we meant that it was a cellmate, meaning somebody who was in prison with him. So we're not going to give names, but it wasn't the person that he necessarily...
He didn't shared
a room with.
Tiny little cell with. It was just somebody who was also there at the same time.
He was a mate of cells.
Correct.
Cells? Oh.
Prison cells.
Prison cells.
Way to loop it all back together.
And the second thing that we want to clarify, that I want to clarify is I didn't really get a nose job. It really, really was for my sinuses. They offered me for a small discount to fix a couple things, and I thought about it for a couple seconds and even played around a little Photoshop. But at the end of the day, I realized that just not snoring and being able to breathe out of my nose was enough for me. So I didn't get a nose job, just internal fixtures.
Okay. On to feedback.
We got a lot of feedback on one specific subject.
This was our only negative feedback, too.
From multiple people.
I know.
So we'd like to apologize to everybody in the Tacoma, Washington area.
Just Washington State in general.
In Washington State.
We're sorry.
All around. For butchering.
The names of your cities.
The names of your cities. Even though I've read the emails and heard the areas that haven't said so well, I still haven't had time to go back and look at it. So I'm going to try to say them awful again. And then we're going to stop and come back and correct them.
Well, I already listened, so I could correct you. Let me correct you.
Okay. So the first one was Tenino. Tenino. Tenino.
I can see it, but it's not. We were told from several individuals, and then I went to confirm. It is Tenino.
Well, what's the second one?
And that one, to be fair, I really didn't even consider Googling or anything. I thought it was pretty straightforward. Tanino. I don't know why. That's just, and maybe you said it that way because I said it that way, but in my brain.
I think you were the one that just said it incorrectly. I've never said this word before.
Probably.
I avoid all the hard words and give them to you.
Probably. I don't know. I read it and that's what I read.
Okay, so our next one is Puyallup. I'm going to go with Puyallup. Really? All right, hold on.
Wrong.
Puyallup.
It's not the South. It's like literally not even close to the South.
I'm sorry. Okay, go for it. What is it?
Puyallup.
Puyallup?
Mm-hmm.
Puyallup.
Yep. Now the crazy thing is I knew already how to pronounce that one, but
you still butchered it.
I know because it took a lot of concentration and I had to repeat it like 12 times in my brain before I said it out loud. Like the whole time you were mispronouncing, I was trying to pronounce it properly because my mouth doesn't want to do it. My brain reads it and my mouth will not get on board and say it the way that it's supposed to be pronounced.
So for all of you listeners who have reached out to us to let us know how horribly we butchered these names, we are going to do our best moving forward in each area to Google them and learn them before we say them. But we can't promise we aren't going to make those mistakes down the future. So if we get to your hometown, we apologize in advance.
So I also want to add this quickly. In preparation for our Q&A today, I realized I was going to have to say Mount Rainier and decided, let me just toss that through and see what I come up with. According to several people that have lived in Washington State their entire lives, I got 3 different pronunciations. Like people have battled about this back and forth with each other on Reddit and stuff. So I have one group that says it's Mount Rainier, like just R near Mount Rainier. And then another person who says people that say it like that, Mount Rainier, are just wrong and shouldn't live in Washington because it's pronounced Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier. Then there's another group that allege, and this group is very small, that it's Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier. Who do we believe?
Tomatoes.
Potatoes. That's what makes the world go round. It doesn't matter. Whatever. However you want to pronounce it is fantastic with me.
We are used to it because where we grew up, every name gets butchered. Horribly.
They're all Native American.
Jeff Foxworthy even did a stand-up, I think it is, on upstate New York and how to say all of the names. There's like YouTube videos of people walking around asking strangers how to say it because they're all Native American names.
Yeah.
So we feel your pain.
We do.
And we'll work on improving.
Yes. And that wraps up our Q&A and clarifications. But before we wrap up, we just wanted to kind of reflect on these 5 episodes and this case and this process and what it really means to us. It has been an honor and a privilege to be able to tell the stories of these 2 amazing lives that were cut far too short. It was devastating. We cried sometimes. We laughed sometimes.
We got very, very angry a lot of times.
We really hope that through all of this, we are able to encourage more listeners to help, to get past those things that you may be scared of for yourself and think about the people that you could be bringing justice to and closure to. Little girls, grown women, victims of all ages, and their families that have had no justice, no closure for years and years and years, and think about what it would mean to them.
And think about what it would be to stop this from happening in the future, because a lot of these killers are still out there, still living their lives undetected. They could be the person cashing you out at the grocery store. They could be one of your coworkers. They could be somebody looking at your children, and you could help save lives by putting these killers behind bars, by reaching out to these companies and demanding ownership over your DNA. And you make the choice. And you get to decide. Because enough's enough, and I'm mad, and we want you to get mad and get angry.
On that note, we'll be back in a few weeks with an all-new case for you to binge. So make sure you subscribe to get updates. And go check out our website at cellspodcast.com. You can click on Michella and Jenny's case files to see all of the images and documents related to these cases. There's some doozies.
And remember, if you find yourself in a scary situation,
put up a fight.
Scratch, scream,
kick and bite.
And get that DNA.
Until next time.
This podcast is brought to you by Ramsgate Media.